Good morning, everyone. We will start straight on. This webinar has a duration of 30 minutes, and we would like to show you a screenshot of GoToWebinar introduction, which will have in the upper right corner, you have a print screen, which will look like this. And you can, by clicking on the red arrow, you can unfold this little screen, and then you can choose your audio mode and questions. And you will have the opportunity to submit text questions or chats during this event. And at the end of the webinar, we will collect your specific questions. During the webinar, you are automatically muted. And of course, this webinar will be recorded and sent to you after this webinar with a thank you mail. So already welcome. And I now will hand over to you, Sarah. Good luck and enjoy all.
Thank you very much, Anna.
Okay.
Let me show my screen. Okay. Can you see the PowerPoint presentation, Anna?
Yes, of course.
Okay, perfect. So, welcome everyone. I will first go a little bit over the details of what Infinite is, what Infinite does, and how Ansys, of course, relates to that. So let's go. So first of all, Infinite is very active in the whole of Benelux, so in the Netherlands, in Belgium, and in Luxembourg. At this moment, we have over 50 people working here, and we have actually 3 offices spread in Belgium and the Netherlands, 2 actually in Breda, and 1 in Belgium, in Sint-Aloyswinkel. The main thing that we do is actually advise our customers and supply them with the best tools possible on the market. Which is one of the 3 topics that I will be talking about Infinite is services. So we provide you with solutions. The next thing, and we provide you with software. The next thing, of course, is we provide you with services, meaning we provide you with advice. We don't just want to give you a tool to work with. We also want to give you advice on how to employ this tool within your certain workflow. And lastly, we have trainings, also a little bit of consultancy, where we will help our customers not only employ the tool within their IT department or completely set it up, but also supporting them within the engineering problems that they have and how they can fully benefit from the Ansys tools. But what is Ansys? Maybe a bigger question. So Ansys is indeed the gold standard in every market, meaning that in every market, Ansys can be used. Ansys is, of course, a simulation tool, a simulation solution, but of course, simulation, it's not only the structural simulation that you may have known about, let's say, 10 years ago. Simulation is active everywhere, in every sort of physics and also in every sort of industry. Meaning that if you are now in a very, let's say, technical education, or you're maybe just interested in technical education, you will somewhere in your career probably will come across an industry or a job where simulation will be used. So how is it used? So we have the different tools of Ansys, but they're also very widely used within one specific company. So within several steps of a workflow, Ansys can help you, or simulation can help you, to reduce costs, to save time, and to increase your revenue. So not only in the design stage, not only in concept phasing, but also with prototyping, it can help you make smart choices and reduce, of course, warranty issues at the end. So in every stage, simulation will help you grow your company. Let's go a little bit further to what all the tools of Ansys are. So you may have known about the simulation tools regarding structures. We all know a sort of mechanical structure, such as a bridge, for example, where you put some kind of load on it, and at a certain point, the stress values get too high and the bridge breaks. Very simply put. But simulation nowadays is much more than that. We have, as you can see here, these 6 yellow boxes give a sort of idea of the main business units where Ansys is working on. So we also have the fluids. Doesn't only mean like the fluids, let's say in piping or in boilers where it's used very often, but can also be ventilation, turbo machinery, and also aerodynamics. So also external fluids or airflow. Within the structures, it's not only just static structural analysis, it can also be crash testing, where we have specific tools that can simulate how, in military, maybe a little bit too real nowadays, how certain things explode or how certain things can impact something, such as crash testing for cars. Then we have the more experienced or specific physics, such as electromagnetics, which I will tell also a little bit more in the next slides. We have semiconductor power, mission critical embedded software, and optical. All these tools are growing still. So if you have any issue in any of these domains, be sure that there is a tool that will help you simulate some kind of problem within it. As you can see, there's also a gray beam below it, which says materials information, which is also something that has been added to the Ansys portfolio within all these specific physics, and that is Granta. Maybe you have heard of it because a lot of universities and professional universities are using Granta EduPack nowadays, which is a very large material database used for material selection and just creating more knowledge about materials. Well, all these materials can be used directly in all these simulation tools, which is, of course, very nice. And then we have the black beam, which is a platform support. All these different types of simulation tools of Ansys can directly be linked towards each other with Ansys Workbench. Ansys Workbench is a centralized platform where you can select all the different types of simulation and link them to each other. So even if you want to make it as complex as possible, you can link the design of a certain car, put some static structural analysis on it where you define the strength of the car. Next, you take that simulation and use it as an input for the aerodynamics. You can link everything. So actually the possibilities are endless. Let me go further a little bit in the main tools that will be interesting, I think, for you and are also included in our Ansys Student tools and also in our academic tools. But first, let me ask a question, and Erna will help me with this. Have you ever in your educational or professional career worked with simulation tools? Normally you should be seeing a prompt by now. And I see that already people are voting, which is nice. It's good to see that I think 100%. Oh, okay, maybe 1 or 2. Interesting to see. Okay, that's a very high percentage. I think 97% said yes,
Yes.
which is very, very good. And hopefully it is with Ansys. If that's not the case, I will give you all the tools that help you maybe experience it and see how it works. So let's go further to Ansys Mechanical. Ansys Mechanical is the main tool for structural analysis. As I said before, Ansys Mechanical It is the main name, and it is like the real strive horse of Ansys, but it includes so much more than just static structural analysis. You can also do the crash testing. You can also do dynamic analysis. There's just so much more to it, but it is, let's say, the concrete basis of what simulation is. Next, we have Ansys CFD. Ansys CFD, Computational Fluids Dynamics, holds the specific fluids analysis of Ansys, where Ansys Fluent, it is a part of Ansys CFD, but Ansys Fluent is, I think, the best tool in the market regarding flow dynamics. So it can be airflow for your aerodynamic simulation. It can be internal flow for piping, boilers, and so on. There's also another tool called CFX within Ansys CFD, which is more for turbo machinery, where you can design blades for turbines. Anything that has to do with either fluid flow or airflow, Ansys CFD will help you. Then we have Ansys Electronics. And within Ansys Electronics, we actually have two, let's say, bigger groups. We have the low frequency group and the high frequency group. For the low frequency group, we look more to the electromagnetic machinery, such as motor design, for which we have a very specific tool called MotorCAD, which is a very nice tool, very easy to use, to really show how, in first example, how motors work, but also how to design your own motor, which can be very nice to educate yourself on how exactly it works. Then we have the high frequency part, which is more used for designing antennas, for anything that has to do with high frequency modeling, like radio frequency, stuff for, yeah, as you see it here, for cell phone, laptops, wireless chargers. Then we have Granta EduPack, which is the very big beam that was in gray in the few slides before. Granta EduPack is the educational tool for material selection. I hope that maybe some of you already know the tool, because there are actually quite a lot of universities and professional universities within Netherlands and Belgium that are already using Granta EduPack. Maybe a fun fact regarding Granta EduPack, there will be an additional webinar given about Granta EduPack specifically in April, end of April, which will give you more info about that at the end of this webinar. It's a very good tool for, I think, every technical education, where specifically material selection or material knowledge is being taught, and can be very helpful not only in classes, but also after, when you are doing some kind of, let's say, master thesis or maybe a research. And there we also have maybe the more experienced version of Granta EduPack, which is Granta Selector Research. If you are doing some kind of, let's say, bigger project or a research for your PhD, then Granta Selector Research will give you much more beneficial information and will give you much more possibilities to make the right material selection. Let's go further to the free Ansys Student tools. So in order to help students engage with simulation tools, we have certain tools available that are free. It's very interesting to see how many students just would like to use them, but don't know how to use them. We have a lot of courses also available that are also free, just to help you get yourself started with getting to know static structural, getting to know CFD. So let's go over the tools that are available and how you can find the downloads for them, which is also very nice. So the big tool that we have is Ansys Student. It's a very generic name, but it actually includes everything regarding Ansys Mechanical and everything about Ansys CFD. So everything about structures and everything about fluids. This is mainly the biggest group. That's why these two are included in Ansys Student, which is a very generic name. It's a very, very good way to already get to know the environment of Ansys and to see what the possibilities are, because the possibilities within Ansys are endless. Of course, start small, start with a very easy, not so complex issue, but you can gradually make it more complex as you like, and grow within Ansys Mechanical environment or Ansys CFD environment to really get to know how it works. As you can see on the bottom right, there are several hyperlinks that will guide you to the different links where you will find the downloads, where you will find the getting started videos. So you will have all the information here to really help yourself and educate yourself for the Ansys environment. Then we have a specific tool for electronics. So as I said, Ansys Student is mainly for mechanical and CFD. We also have Ansys Electronics Desktop Student. This is very specific for the electronics department. As I mentioned before, for the low frequency part, so electromagnetics, where you can design your own motors, you can analyze motors, but also the high frequency part, where you can design antennas or design even heat flow within a certain PCB or integrated circuit. Again, on the right side below, you will find the different hyperlinks. This presentation will also be sent to you, so you will have these hyperlinks available, and everything is at your hands just to get started with Ansys Electronics Desktop. Then a very specific one, it's Ansys LS-DYNA. LS-DYNA is the specific tool for crash testing. This is mentioned separately because it works a little bit differently than maybe an Ansys Mechanical or an Ansys CFD. Again, here, a lot of links where you'll find more information. But if you are interested in doing crash testing, either impact testing or drop testing, Ansys LS-DYNA is the one that you should test out. Then we also have Ansys Skate. Ansys Skate is a very, let's say, more specific kind of tool, mainly used for safety control. So if you are working in some kind of project where you are interested to see what kind of, let's say, safety control has to be built in your embedded software, then Ansys Skate is the one to explore. Again, all the links are available here. So when looking at this, which free Ansys software would you most likely to try out? Of course, for us, it's very interesting to know where, of course, your interests lie, but also if it is, is it within what we think the more specific tools like an electronics or an LS-DYNA, or is it more within the structural and the fluids part? Well, as I see, I think 44%. Yes, of course.
44% mechanical, 41% CFD, 30% electronics, 11% LS-DYNA, and 0% on Skate.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Then I will definitely suggest that those 40% people that voted for mechanical and CFD really try out the Ansys Student version, and the electronics percentile, that they should try out Electronics Desktop if you have not yet used it. If you are already a very experienced user, just keep on going, of course. So that was it about the free Ansys Student products that we have. What I do want to mention is the Ansys portfolio is very big, and it can be sometimes quite confusing. At the end of the webinar, we'll also show some contact details. Should you have any questions regarding maybe your education, a certain project that you're working on, or just the capabilities of what is possible, don't hesitate to contact us, even if it's just with a very simple question on, this is my problem, what can I use from Ansys, which software is free to use, don't hesitate to let us know, and we will help you explore everything that is possible within Ansys. Then I would shortly go over the academic portfolio. So Ansys also has, next to the student versions, which hold some sort of limitations regarding the complexity of problems. Then there is, of course, the academic portfolio to give you like the full employment of the Ansys tools. As you can see here, the academic program or academic tools are actually just the same as the commercial tools, but just for, let's say, an academic fee. So maybe there are already tools available within your university or within your school. If that is the case and you don't know, you can also contact us and we can see around who is maybe the responsible person to help you with that and to let you know which tools are available. Within different classes or different grades of the school or the university, Ansys can be used. And let me tell you more about that in the next slide. So the main thing or the main differences between the different setups that we have is we have academic teaching licenses. So the academic teaching is mostly the tools, of course, to help you in the class to do project work. So this can be used by either the lecturers and also by the students during classes, sometimes also maybe after class as a homework to help you prepare something for the next class. But usually it is used within the classes to have like that practical use. Then we have the academic research licenses, and the academic research licenses are mostly there for, the name says it already, for research. So when working on a master thesis or when working on, let's say, a PhD, you would definitely want to go to the academic research license because it holds no limitations at all. There are also certain terms and conditions involved for the academic teaching and the academic research licensing, which I can tell you also more about that if you are interested. Then we also have something interesting with this, which is a combination of those two, which is called the Multiphysics Campus Solution. And it is actually a combination of both teaching licenses and research licenses. Not specific for one type of product, but for everything. So the teaching and the research licensing you choose for a very specific product or group of products, such as the mechanicals or the fluids business units or the electronics business units. With the Multiphysics, the name says it all, campus solution, we provide you with teaching licenses and research licenses for all tools. So you will have access to both mechanical and CFD and electronics and systems. You will have it all available. Then maybe one more interesting thing to tell about the licensing structure of Ansys. So we sometimes talk about the number of tasks, the number of tasks of a certain licenses. It is interesting to know because how does a license maybe work at a university, because a university is a big place? Well, the number of tasks just shows what the number of simultaneous users are. So when having maybe a certain, let's say, finite element class, and you have always, let's say, 20 people that will do practical tests with it, then you would say, okay, maybe I would like to have 25 tasks available for this license so that 25 people at once or 25 computers at once can use Ansys Mechanical. If you want to have it higher or lower, that's also possible. For research licenses, for maybe complete research departments, that is also possible where you can just maybe have one task, but also 5 or 25 tasks. Once a user closes the software or computer shuts down, then the license is again available for someone else. So I talked a lot about everything that's possible for Ansys students. I talked a lot about the Ansys academic program. Here are some indicative numbers just to show you how big the whole academic portfolio of Ansys has already grown. So I think the most interesting for you is to see the middle top, which says 70 plus Ansys innovation courses. This number is still growing. So the Ansys innovation courses, they are also mentioned on the Ansys Student links, hyperlinks. The innovation courses are free courses on the Ansys website on all different platforms or all different tools of Ansys, where you can learn more about the theory behind it and also how it is used within the Ansys tools. It will also give you hands-on, let's say, projects or things to work on, specifically in Ansys Mechanical or Ansys CFD, where you can learn the software. Quite a lot of information. I just want to close off with this. So here you will find the general information of both Infinite and of my email address. And as I said before, for all the students here, if you have interest in using Ansys, but you don't know if it's applicable to your specific project, really don't hesitate to reach out, and we will help you further with telling you what the possibilities are, telling you where to find everything, and just to help you in general. For all the academics here that are here today, you can also contact me for any additional questions regarding the software, maybe any additional questions regarding all the other tools that Ansys has that are also maybe available within the academic program, because the academic program is quite large, so I did not cover all of it at this moment. Just don't hesitate to reach out. We are very happy to help. Then I would also give a shout out to the upcoming webinars that we and Ansys are giving. So as I mentioned before, we will host also a Granta EduPack specific webinar on April 21st. And then of course, there is also additional webinars of the academic webinar series. Last thing that I want to mention, maybe to all the students here, our team at Infinite is still growing. Our team at Infinite is very interested in new support engineers and also new sales engineers. So if you are interested in simulation and growing your career within simulation as a base, don't hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to take a look at our website. We are always looking for new people, and you will find more information there. I think that shortly was it. Erna, if you have any comments or any additional questions, don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for presenting this lovely, interesting webinar with all detailed information. If you have any questions, please, I have unmuted you now. You can unmute yourself and you can ask questions, because I don't see any questions for now. Are there any questions? Feel free. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the webinar. You're welcome. Everything will be sent to you, the recording, but also the PDF with the hyperlinks, and a thank you mail, of course, by Sarah and I. Are there questions? No. Then I will say thank you for attending today's webinar. If there are questions, remarks, don't hesitate. On behalf of Sarah, of course, and I, but also the colleagues of Team Infinite, thank you for joining this morning, and have a great, lovely, sunny day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.